And yeah, while the Euro's been going on, I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on the Copa America. It concluded yesterday with Argentina beating Colombia 1-0 in the final. But it was off the field that all the drama really happened at the Miami Gardens, the Hard Rock Stadium in Florida. Scenes sort of reminiscent of what happened at the Euros at Wembley, but you could probably argue possibly even worse. People looking to sort of break in without tickets. You may have seen sort of viral footage today of Colombian fans coming in through the air conditioning system in the basement of the stadium. It's absolutely nuts.
There's also that thing with Darwin Núñez and trying to protect his family.
Which happened in the game before. There was issues in this game as well. The players were taken off the pitch and the game was delayed. And then we had a 25-minute half-time as Shakira did a gig.
Tim Vickery's going, what's going on?
And he told her that really 15 minutes ideally was the length of that, and then she should get off. So they're picking up the pieces, and it's only 2 years until, of course,
people are worried about the World Cup.
Co-host the World Cup. Brian Sciaretta is a US soccer writer who joins us now. Hey, Brian.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
Well, what's the mood there then after all of that? I'm sure there is a kind of big post-mortem going into this today, isn't there?
Yeah, it's hugely disappointing. I mean, it's a lot of people are going to remember this as a missed opportunity when they were hoping that the United States would kind of be an optimal host for the Copa America because it was an unusual selection. And, maybe potentially do it again in the future because of its stadiums and security and ease of travel and facilities and infrastructure. But now, obviously, with them struggling with security, that's the most basic of things. That was one of the reasons why the whole tournament here was attractive. And it was also, they're trying to hope it was flexing their muscle for the World Cup in 2 years. Instead, it serves more as a warning that things need to be better because, people breaching the fences like that and players struggling to focus really because of when you know that there's crowd issues, it becomes difficult to play a good game of football. So, we'll see. I think things will be fine for the World Cup. They'll have some big tune-ups, but this tournament wasn't what I think people were hoping.
America are more than used to putting on big events, big sporting events. Do you think maybe the problem is that a lot of the American sports, it's usually just one crowd. It's just the team, the home team, because it's such a distance. You don't get a lot of derbies, do you? I don't know about MLS, but certainly not in the NFL.
Yeah, no, usually it's, you don't get as much away travel. And usually, I just don't think they're used to like the willingness of people to do what it took to break in to a game and become and fighting with fans in the stands in the semifinals in North Carolina, where the players had to go in and because they thought they were rescuing family and it's I just don't think they were used to it, and I think CONMEBOL shares some of the blame here too. It's their organization that also has a big hand in running this. But clearly things have to be upgraded for the World Cup and things have to be different.
There's going to be a lot of finger pointing, isn't there, with the South African FA CONMEBOL you just mentioned there. So they're going to be pointing the finger at the local organisers, and I'm sure the local organisers are going to be saying, well, we didn't get the backup, we didn't get the support, your organisation was poor. But ultimately, with 2 years to the World Cup, you guys just want to get to the bottom of what did happen and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, of course. You're going to finger point, but it doesn't change that these incidents happen. So, I think whether it's FIFA and local authorities for the World Cup, they just have to make sure that look, this is what happens. This is what can go wrong in a big event. And there's also other little issues too in terms of the quality of the fields and stuff. When they had temporary grass, players were complaining about that as well. A lot of problems up and down the lists here where things have to get better. But no one really, in the end, no one really cares whose fault it is. Everyone just wants to see a properly run tournament.
And they've got the Club World Cup next summer as well in the USA, and that is also, you're going to get partisan team fans from both teams, so it'll be good practice.
Yeah, look, it's they have hosted the Copa America before in 2016, and it was a Centenario edition. It was brilliantly run. This that's what makes this so highly unusual is the fact that there are international tournaments, there are international soccer games that have been held here. The U.S. has been able to put on big events. So, but for whatever reason, it got dropped the ball. It dropped the ball. I do think now that like you'll see a full capabilities enforced for the future tournaments, and then the Olympics after that in 4 years. You'll see these kind of things shape up a little bit too. But this is not good. It was definitely a drop the ball, but I don't think that it doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing better either. They have full capabilities to run something very smoothly.
Finally, Brian, USA men's team don't have a coach at the moment. Greg Berhalter has stood down. So a few of our listeners, we've been discussing Gareth Southgate and his next move. And a number of the listeners have said the USA job's perfect for him. Maybe looking at Emma Hayes doing the women's job. It does sound to us like a very good fit. I mean, is he a name that has been mentioned as a possible new USA coach?
Well, there's a lot of interesting speculation about that too. There's nothing through any kind of official reports other than fan chatter. But you have to realize that the U.S. sporting director of the whole federation just came over, Matt Crocker, from England himself too, and he's very connected in the game over there. So it wouldn't surprise me if there are overtures in that direction too, because I think that there's going to be a connect. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a connection to the English game, just based on the people who are in charge at U.S. Soccer right now too. It would certainly be interesting if that's the case. And obviously, there's no real hurry for the U.S. They have only friendlies coming up for another several months. So there's no apps. It's not like they have important games in September that they have to get a coach up next week. So we'll see. I think that this is certainly something worth interesting and worth following. And is it an attractive job finally? I mean, is there a feeling this is a good sort of generation of USA players going into the next World Cup? I think that there's a lot of talent on the U.S. squad, but I think they need a mentality boost. They need to get mentally tougher. Whether or not it's attractive is in the eyes of the candidates, and you have to ask Southgate that. Everyone probably has their own opinions there too, but I think obviously with hosting the World Cup on U.S. soil, it's a very high-profile job in this country. And it's not a long-term job either now. It's less than 2 years till the World Cup will be over. So it could be interesting for someone not looking to take a very long project, but one with a lot of upside and a lot of potential. And I think that they do have a budget to make things happen for good coaches. Interesting. Good to talk to you, Brian. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.